Salamander dude, SaiyanSalamander here, and welcome to the latest episode of my weapon theory crafting series for Fire Emblem Heroes. Last month I talked about my favourite Gen 1 banner, the Elise Summer banner. So next up on the list is the Nohrian Summer banner. I don't know why, but it was actually fairly easy to come up with all the effects for these units, unlike the previous characters on my theory crafting videos. In fact, the hardest part was coming up with new weapon names. Like, come on, how am I supposed to beat Lilith, Floaty, and Tomato Tome? Speaking of these units or weapons though, let's talk about the original effect for these summer heroes. It's effectively Drive Attack Speed 1, which you'd think would be a good skill, however, when it only grants +1 attack and speed to units within 2 spaces, yeah, it's not great. Of course I've supercharged this original effect and allowed one of the units to keep it, but for the most part, in order to differentiate them, I gave the majority of the characters a completely brand new effect on what I think suits them. Anyway, enough rambling from me. Let's start things off with the first unit on the banner, who's actually the first unit who kept the original weapon effect. And that unit is the tropical flower herself, Elise. Elise's summer role appears as a green mage infantry unit, and at the time she was known for her decent speed as well as her insane attack for a mage. However, like all Gen 1 units, she's been power crept a ton since then. Her attack and speed are still pretty decent, but they're nowhere near as good as they once were. And she's going to need a really good weapon and probably a lot of investment in order to compete with the most recent mages added to the game. Since her exclusive skill in Fates is called Lily's Poise and her original summer tome was the Hibiscus Tome Plus, I decided to name her new weapon Hibiscus's Poise. It grants Elise +3 speed and is effectively just a tome version of Cetus' Spear of Assel, except even better since this version has a Refine. If you don't know what Spear of Assel does, it's effectively joint drive speed attack, which is why I said Elise gets a supercharged version of the original weapon, going for Drive Attack Speed 1 to Joint Drive Attack Speed. It also has the added effect of neutralizing foes' bonuses to attack and speed during combat, which can really help Elise outspeed some of the newer units that have been buffed with their speed stats, and even make sure that she doesn't take too much damage by neutralizing their attack bonuses too. And as for her Refine, Elise really looks up to Corrin, so I thought it would be cool inspiration for one of Corrin's appearances in Fae for a Refine effect. After searching through them all, the effect that I figured would help Elise the best was legendary female Corrin's Primordial Breath. While Primordial Breath is more of an enemy phase skill, I effectively gave Elise a player phase version for skill for a Refine. If Elise initiates combat, all the foe's HP is at 100% health. At the start of combat, Elise gains +5 to all stats, and gains +1 special cooldown per attack too. This makes her a really incredible unit, as not only can she even better support her allies now, and charge her special a lot more quickly, she can get a nice bonus to her stats too. After all, without any boon, merges or dragon flowers, as long as her weapon activation conditions are met, she reaches a whopping 59 attack and 46 speed. I think this really helps her stand out on her own, considering how competitive the infantry green mage class is, with powerhouses like Legendary Celica, Freysier, and more. So let's hope IS gives her something as good as this, when we hopefully one day get some seasonal refines. The next unit on the banner definitely has the best weapon on this banner from a design aspect alone, and that unit is the student swimmer Xander, appearing as an infantry axe wielder this time around. This is actually the second time I theory crafted a weapon for Xander, since I already talked about what I'd give his spring refine during my spring festival theory crafting video. I usually base the weapon on what I think suits the character, but I didn't want to make it too similar to Springfeed weapon I gave him back then. His original summer weapon is the Lilith Floaty, and I didn't have the heart to get rid of one of the best designed weapons in the game, so I just kept the design and renamed the preferred weapon version of it to the Lilith Lilo. Since Lilith is helping Xander learn how to swim with her Lilo variant, I think it'd be cool for Lilith to help Xander out in battle too, so Summer Xander takes inspiration straight from Lilith's Fae appearance. It grants him +3 res and gives Xander's support partner the ability to teleport to him, as long as they're within 3 spaces of each other. Xander's and his support partner gain +5 to all their stats during combat. And that's not all, since I didn't leave Xander out while giving the refines too. For the refine, the activation condition's the same, but it's effectively a joint special fighter. If Xander's within 3 spaces of his support partner, both him and his partner gain +1 to their special cooldown and inflict -1 special cooldown on the foe per attack too. This makes Xander a really fantastic support unit, granting himself and one of his allies +5 to all stats, special fighter, and even giving his support partner the ability to teleport to from anywhere in the map. I was originally thinking that Xander would be the one to teleport to his support partner because that's what Lilith's original weapon effect was. But considering Xander can't swim, I found the idea funny of his support partner just having to teleport to him all the time in order to save him from drowning. From one Nohrian prince to another, let's go to the next summer unit I'll be talking about, and that is the Seashore's Prince of Nor, Leo, who appears in this banner as an infantry red mage this time around. Honestly, other than his res being pretty good, none of Leo's stats are anything to write home about. I think most people run an Owl Tome on him, since all of his stats can get a much needed boost. Originally Leo came equipped with the Tomato Tome, but since I had to keep the Tomato Tome for his preferred weapon, and that's where I came up with a really stupid pun, and decided to go with his new weapon, Leo's Tomato. Because, you know, it's a tome and tomato. Tomato. Ayy. First off, it grants Leo +3 defense, and you may be wondering why I boosted Leo's worst stat here, and Xander's worst stat, by giving them +3 res, since I didn't explain it earlier, but there's a good reason for it. Leo's got a super boon in defense, while Xander's got a super boon in resistance. So with a boon and a little extra push from their weapons, and each of these bad stats actually become pretty good, making them much more of a mix tank when they ever were previously. Other than the +3 defense, I also gave Leo a preferred Owl Tome, since, like I said earlier, it's what usually people tend to run on him. The only difference is that I buffed it up so it boosts damage by the number of units within 2 spaces, rather than the number of units adjacent to Leo. As for the Refine, I wanted to make a reference to the Life Taker skill, as typically in Fates, Leo is a Dark Knight, and that's his signature skill of the class. I'm kinda surprised we haven't seen it in Fate yet, to be honest. When Leo defeats a foe, he restores 50% of his maximum HP, and as a little added bonus, he also restores 7 HP to his allies within 2 spaces when he defeats a foe as well. So while he gets buffs from his allies being close to him, he also gives back to them by recovering their HP too. This makes him a pretty good unit, and the Owl Tome definitely helps put his stat at a respectable level. And the Owl effect combined with Life Taker effect makes him a very tanky unit that's going to be really tough to kill. The final unit of this banner was probably the star of the show at the time of release, being I think the second ever flying mage after Spring Camilla if I remember correctly, and that unit is the Novice Vacationer Summer Female Corrin. She could definitely use some improvement, but at the time she was known for having some pretty good offensive stats, especially considering how she was a great candidate for Blade with her easy access flyer buffs. Her new weapon is called the Shores of Nor, and it accelerates her special cooldown and is effectively a preferred Blade weapon. We haven't had one of these kind of weapons for a while, but I figured it wasn't enough by modern day standards, so I also gave her the Dragon effect of getting adapted damage as long as the foe's range is 2. As for Refine, it's effectively the reverse effect of her Gloom Breath Refine. Instead of gaining a bonus to all of her stats depending on what penalty the foe has, she gets bonus doubler instead, and gains a bonus to all of her stats depending on what buff she's got from skills like Hone and Fortify Flyers. It's effectively the perfect weapon for a mage flyer like Corrin. She can easily get a Hone and Fortify buff from her allies and then deal an insane amount of damage with her incredible weapon. And that's even before factoring any passive skills that she can equip. I don't know what else to say about Corrin really with this new weapon. She's gone from a previously good relic of the past to a really good unit that can face off against the best of them. That's all for today, so I hope you enjoyed the videos, my dudes. If you did, please like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment on what you thought of the preferred weapons I gave them, as well as what kind of weapon you give to each of these characters. I also have a Twitch channel if you guys want to see me do live playthroughs of games like The World Ends With You, Fire Emblem, and more. There's also a Discord link in the description too if you want to hang out more with the community, so if either of those sound good to you, then please go check them out. Again, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you around, my dudes. Until next time, bye.